Hi everybody, welcome back to Study Room. Today we are going to learn about conservation of forest and wildlife in India. But before we move on to it, the next thing that we have to keep in our mind is the need to conserve forest and wildlife. Why is it important to conserve forests? Conservation preserves ecological diversity and our life support systems like water, air, and soils. Genetic diversity is also taken care of while we conserve forest. In example, agriculture. In agriculture, we are still dependent on traditional crop varieties, and fisheries are also heavily dependent on the maintenance of aquatic biodiversity. When we see that, we have to understand Indian Wildlife Protection Act 1972. It was implemented in the year 1972 with various provisions for protecting various kinds of animals. The thrust of the program was towards protecting the remaining population of certain endangered species by banning what? Hunting, giving legal protection to their habitats, and restricting trade in wildlife. Subsequently, central and state governments came in collaboration with each other and established national parks and wildlife sanctuaries. Indian Wildlife Protection Act 1972. What does it state? It says that there are projects for protecting specific animals like tiger, one-horned rhinoceros, Kashmir stag, hangul, crocodiles like gharial, Asiatic lions, and others. And recently, what happens? The Indian elephant, black buck chinkara, great Indian bustard, that is Godawan, and snow leopard has been given fully or partial legal protections against hunting and trade throughout India. What does the term legal protection means? Legal protection means that law would take care when hunting or poaching would be done. So they might be under arrest and they might be jailed if anybody tries to invade their privacy or tries to hurt these animals. Another laws for conservation are under Wildlife Act of 1980 and 1986. Several hundred butterflies, moths, beetles, and one dragonfly have been added to the list of protected species. In 1991, for the first time, plants were also added, starting with 6 species. Project Tiger, I'm sure that you all must have heard about it. In 1973, what happens is the authorities realized that the tiger population had dwindled to 1,887 from an estimated 55,000. So the major threat to tiger population is poaching, shrinking habitats, depletion of prey-based species, growing human population, trade of tiger skins, use of their bones in traditional medicines. And India and Nepal have become the prime targets of poaching and illegal trading. So they are being targeted, and smuggling of tiger skins are being done right now. So the Project Tiger was launched in the year 1973. It is not only an effort to save an endangered species, but it also gives equal importance to preserving biotypes of sizable magnitude, because the area they would cover to protect tiger, that would also constitute the habitat of various kinds of plants and animals, and that's why those things would, or those people and those animals and plants would also be saved. Tigers of Reserves of India: Uttarakhand, Corbett National Park; West Bengal, Sundarban National Park; Madhya Pradesh, Bandhavgarh National Park; Rajasthan, Sariska Wildlife Sanctuary; Assam, Manas Tiger Reserve; Kerala, Periyar Tiger Reserve, and you can also find a lot more elephants in Periyar Tiger Reserve. Types of forest and wildlife resources. So, the forest and wildlife resources in India are either owned and managed by the government through the forest department or other governmental departments. So, majorly they are owned by government only. So, reserved forests are a kind of forest where more than half of the total forest land has been declared reserve forest, and these are the most valuable. As far as the conservation of forests and wildlife resources are concerned, these are the reserve forests. Nobody is entered without permission, and no illegal mining, poaching, hunting is ever done over here. It is all under government observation. The second is protected forest. There are unclassed forests also, and there is something called permanent forest states that you all should remember. So protected forests are almost 1/3 of the total forest area, and the forest land are protected from any further depletion. So they might have been they exploited to a certain extent, but now presently what happens that they are being saved at any cost. Unclassed forest, where yes, are the wastelands belonging to both government and private individuals and communities. So this is a barren land, and trees and plantations might have grown because of the absence of human interference. So they have turned into wastelands. There is something called permanent forest states. What does this mean? Reserved and protected forests are also termed permanent forests. So permanent forests are reserved and protected forest. So maintained for the purpose of producing timber and other forest produce and for protective reasons. Community and conservation. So in India, what happened that forests are here to some traditional, are home to some traditional communities. So tribal communities come forward to help to save the environment. In some areas, local communities are struggling to conserve habitats along with government officials, recognizing that this will secure their long-term livelihood. So we can see the examples of community and conservation. Like in Sariska Tiger Reserve, what happened? Villagers have fought against mining by citing the Wildlife Protection Act. Otherwise, the government would have taken no notice of it. But the villagers together in a combined effort came to forefront asking about their wildlife protection rights. And what happened? What happened? That this illegal mining stopped. In Alwar district of Rajasthan, what happened? 1,200 hectares of land was declared as forest as a Bhairodev Dakav Sanctuary. Okay, so this is the name of the land now, and it has classified as forest. Villages created a set of rules and regulation, and they do not allow hunting and are also protecting wildlife against any encroachment. So nobody can do the land hoarding over there. Nobody can take over their land. Their land is all up to themselves, and they are taking care of it. Very well care they are taking. And the famous Chipko movement that you all should remember, and we will be focusing on it later. Community and conservation. As you can see, this Bees Bachao Andolan. What happened here? In Tehri and Navdanya, farmers and citizen groups worked on an adequate level of diversified crop production. So what happens? Earlier, what happened? That there were some policies which told people to just grow certain crop just for profit use. But what happened, like these people came together and initiated this movement. What it is called? Beej Bachao Andolan. What happened here? Diversified crop production occurred without the use of synthetic chemicals in any economical viable way. So no chemicals are used. Joint Forest Management program was launched in 1988. What it conveys? Involving local communities in the management and restoration of degraded forests, because local people play a vital role while conserving the forest. Now comes the Chipko movement that we have talked about, and here it is. So it originated in the year 1973 in Uttarakhand. The Chipko movement in the Himalayas was one of the successful attempts to resist deforestation, and they also played a huge role in implementing afforestation. So these people, what they did? They came together and stick around a tree. They stick to the tree so that other people, the people who were there to cut the forest could not cut it, because humans were hugging the trees. And this movement was called Chipko movement, and it was revolutionary in nature. Sacred groves, what happens that people also worship these animals, these plants. Plants are not only for your biological needs, but they're also very important for social and cultural aspects. So nature worship, a tribal belief based on the premise that all creation of nature have to be protected. So people there, what they do, they used to worship trees, plant more and more trees and worship them. Forests preserved in pristine form. They were known as sacred groves. What is sacred? Sacred is holy. That you should be, worshipping the things that are so pure that you should worship them. So what happened? The tribal regions like Mundas, Santhas of Chota Nagpur region. You must be aware of Chota Nagpur plateau by now. They used to worship Mahua, Basia latifolia, and Kadamba, Athico, uh, Anthocaphilis Kadamba trees. Tribals of Odisha and Bihar worship the tamarind and mango trees during weddings. You must have seen around you as well that there are trees like banyans, people, mango that is being worshipped on certain days in the year in different cultures. So, too many people worship people and banyan trees. Too many people worship people, you know, and banyan trees as well because they consider them to be sacred. So now we have came to the end of this chapter, and the very important question here lies: what do you understand by this chapter? How have communities conserved and protected forests and wildlife in India? So you can cite different examples like that. Chipko movement and how Tiger Reserve. You can talk about Tiger Reserve where illegal mining was being done, right? And third is sacred groves, means you worship trees that are being worshipped. Fourth and fifth examples can be taken from the previous slides as well, like here. Beach Bachao Andolan, Joint Forest Management. So these are through which you can answer this very important question, and this question is really important from exam point of view. Beach Bachao. You understand? Second is why biodiversity is important for human life. You all know first one is ecological balance, right? Food, water, shelter. Okay? Timber, medicine. So these are the points that you could cite, right? So here we come to the end of this video. In this video, what we understood? We understood about different biodiversity and how they are conserved by the efforts of the local people as well as the government. Classification of forest into reserved and protected forest. We have also learned about various acts like Wildlife Protection Act or Tiger Protection Act, right? So, tiger conservation, and these are the acts and legal provisions we have understood. So, that's all you need to understand and to know about this chapter. And hope to see you all in the next video. Take care, stay safe. Bye, all of you.